I'm a murderer.
We all know you're guilty.
Guilty?
As of the day I started writing this, we have very little news on Kingdom Hearts 4. Apart from the teasers from however long ago and some updates on the new mobile game Missing Link, there's so much in the unknown. This has caused many fans to worry, panic, and otherwise lose their absolute marbles at the near mention of anything from Square Enix. But not me. Why? Well, maybe because I barely dedicated myself to playing and completing every single game this year, so honestly, I don't mind waiting a little while for updates. But if there's one thing I'm extremely curious about for the upcoming 4th mainline installment, it's the worlds. There has been so many Disney properties spread across the games in the many years since its debut, like Hercules, Frozen, Mulan, Hercules, Little Mermaid, Tangled, Nightmare Before Christmas, Hercules, Tarzan, Snow White, Cinderella, and oh, don't forget Hercules. Plus, with 3 bringing in Pixar worlds for the first time like Toy Story and Monsters Inc., everyone is wondering what kind of worlds we'll see in Kingdom Hearts 4. I mean, it seems with each passing year, Disney acquires more and more properties, so what kind of cash cows can we expect to see milked? Well, I put together 10 world ideas I'd personally love to see. Not necessarily in any order, mind you, apart from, the top 2, I guess. Some of them are obvious, some are unlikely, and some are just so out of the box that you'll lose your— my marbles!
This video was shot in front of a live studio audience.
Starting full throttle with the obvious choices with Star Wars. Now, pretty much everybody thinks Star Wars is confirmed after that teaser showcasing a green terrain that looks a little bit like Endor, myself very much included, because by this point it would be an extremely wasted opportunity to not do Star Wars. Our characters fight with keyblades that, if Xemnas' weapons are to be believed, can go toe-to-toe with lightsabers. And as an avid, lifelong Star Wars fan, would this upset me? No, it's freaking Kingdom Hearts, and a little non-canon fight would be the least offending thing Disney has done with the property since buying it. But which plotline should they go for? It's not like they just have one movie to go off of like most of the previous worlds. Should they take advantage of the current Mandoverse and have Sora and gang meet up with Grogu and Ahsoka? As funny as it would be to see Goofy, Thrawn, and Mushu on screen, I don't think so. Maybe the prequels? Maybe not, considering they'd have to go for the biggest climactic moment, and I think if Sora walked in on Order 66, he'd turn into a Heartless instantaneously. And if they went with the sequels and we got a line like somehow Xehanort returned, I'd laugh and then take my copy of the game and burn it. But if the predictions are to be believed, I think Nomura is right on the money with Endor from Return of the Jedi. This absolute classic has everything a Kingdom Hearts world needs. If we start at the beginning of the movie, we have a dope hypothetical boss fight with Boba Fett before throwing him and random organization members into the Sarlacc pit, inspirational dialogue about the light side from a fading Yoda and Force Ghost Obi-Wan. Sora can even go into that cave and fight a version of himself before moving on, or even a dark version of Roxas, Ventus, and Vanitas. And yeah, I know that was in episode 5, but it was on Dagobah. The cave's still there. It's not like it just got up and left, so shut it, nerd. Culminating with the defense of Endor and making your way up to the Death Star to help turn Vader and fight off the dark side. Sidious is basically twinning with the Dark Cloaks at this point too. Plus, Sora's being Luke's first practice apprentice before finding his own Jedi temple, which is what we should have been able to see on the screen. I'm just gonna get mad again. No! God damn it!
Pizza time.
I'm gonna enjoy it very, very much.
And the other super obvious choice is the world of Marvel. Another dead ringer for what to expect, as I honestly wouldn't be shocked to find out Disney made them include it. I mean, to be fair, I have zero insight into the freedom that Square has with the properties and their choices and how they present them. But Disney can be stingy. But like the Space Wizards before them, Marvel is vast. So vast that it's tricky to try and pick when and where to plot the franchises together to make them work. An easy spot is to throw the characters right into Endgame. You got the biggest battle and the most climactic moment of the MCU, but that's the corporate answer. I initially thought a Guardians of the Galaxy plotline would work the best, as you could run into the Milano while piloting the gummy ship and go from there into some wacky space adventure, making our trio honorary Guardians by the end. While that wouldn't be a bad idea, I think after the acquisition of Fox, placing Sora into an original X-Men story would be incredible. It's hard to find a more personal and real superhero story than the X-Men. And it's not surprising, considering they were created as a direct reflection to the civil rights movement, people who are being mistreated and ostracized over what's beyond their control. Who they are and what they look like would resonate really hard with Sora's always do right attitude. Being labeled mutants, Professor Xavier teaches to do good and help the humans who can't process their fear. And one of my favorite villains, Magneto, who isn't evil at heart but has seen the monstrosities that mankind has committed to him and his people for just existing. It'd be bold, it'd be dark, but it's not like they haven't toed the line with dark concepts before. Darkness is one of the biggest themes of the franchise, and a manipulated and tainted heart of mutants can be dangerous, and what better to combat that than the light of our guiding keys? Well, the Big Thunder Mountain with the Big Thunder Cannons ought to do the trick.
Hey Milo, don't you ever close that book?
Yeah, you must have read it a dozen times by now.
I know, but this doesn't make any sense.
Perfection in its prime. That's all I can say about Treasure Planet. Genuinely my favorite Disney movie of all time, and following not far behind it is the movie Atlantis. Seeing as how both of these movies are highly requested worlds to visit and have been for years, I decided to put them together as any reasoning for their existence can be used on both of them. They're both highly underrated movies of their generation due to bringing new and creative energy to classic ideas, as opposed to rehashing already tired concepts over and over. Whether it's exploring the beautiful space paths with Jim and the crew, or defending the hidden city of Atlantis from the maniacal Commander Rourke and the beautiful Helga Sinclair, they had no business to draw her and Kida the way they did, but childhood me must thank you for that. The characters in these movies are just presented so well, and our cast of characters, whether it be Sora, Riku, Kairi, or even Axel and Saïx, could have a ton to learn from them. I'm keeping this entry relatively short as you can't find a Kingdom Hearts World's wishlist that doesn't have these two movies on them. It's a great idea that so many people want to see, so let's do it.
Come on, Gurgi. Let's go home.
Gertie's happy day!
The Black Cauldron is one of Disney's biggest box office failures, and the fault lies entirely with Disney on its own. I learned from Bread Sword's video on the film that a movie with big ambition and a ton of cooks in the kitchen as it was taken over by unfortunately timed nepotism with zero respect for animation and a lack of knowledge on Disney in general. The result of which led to the movie we got, which isn't a bad movie but leaves a sour taste when considering what we were supposed to get had the creative team just been left in charge. But again, the plotline is good, or good enough for KH standards at least. The characters are well done. Taran, what was it? Taran and Sora could learn a lot from each other, and Princess Elenweet, hang on. Okay, I just looked it up, it's Princess Elenweet, okay. Princess Elenweet, what was it? Shit! Princess Elenweet is really charismatic and can help lead the charge with Donald and Goofy. The Horned King is a damn solid villain, and I just love the dynamic of a grand, intimidating villain who has the grossest, smallest sidekick who he keeps around, clearly because he loves him but just won't admit it. See Sesshomaru Ajaken for the best version of this trope. And Gurgi, yeah, when I first saw him I thought I was gonna get sick, but he grew on me, and ended up being the ultimate Chad when it came down to it. Imagining Sora and gang shrinking in size, similar to the first game with the Wonderland world, would be a great callback as well. What was supposed to be the darkest Disney movie to date could get a second resurgence if it were to appear. A whole lot of people would be interested in streaming it, which leads to success on all ground. Maybe even with a reimagining of how the movies were supposed to be, but hey, that is just extremely wishful thinking. Also, these Cloud Witches interacting with the gang would just be icing on the long overdue cake.
The temperature here on my skin. Doom, doesn't matter the victories I win. Doom, I make everything happen. Looking at me.
So, spoilers, Moana didn't make the list. Really only because I'm like 100% sure it'll be in the game, and I wanted to include a Disney princess movie that hasn't been seen in the franchise yet. And despite the many Pocahontas jokes I can make, and hey, I can make a lot of them, I would really like to see Princess and the Frog make its delayed debut. It feels like the tried and true formula but on a speed run that still results in a fun story, great music, and creative animation. Bonus points for being the last 2D animated movie by Disney. God, I miss when they looked like this. Exploring New Orleans and fighting what I can imagine would be extremely creative Heartless and Nobodies, or running around the bayou and playing Frogger Sora Edition. I also just think the Dr. Facilier fight could be a ton of fun and interesting to see how the shadow combat would be. Just a huge breath of fresh air on all sides. Honestly, it makes the list purely for how great the potential of the visuals and gameplay would be. It almost doesn't matter if the character work isn't charismatic and entertaining, but they are. So, makes sense to you, makes sense to me. I told you I wanted to get weird, right? Tell me you don't want to see Keyblade warriors running up during this fantasy-esque war with lions, witches, and wardrobes. Wardrobes. Now, to be honest, I haven't seen the Narnia movies since I was a kid. I haven't heard any serious discussion on them since I was a kid. I didn't even know it was Disney that produced the movies. I just typed "what does Disney own," hit search, and in all of the madness, I saw the Narnia trilogy. Now, I was gonna rewatch them to make sure they still held up before adding them to the list, but then, Jesus Harold Christ! I ain't doing all that. I just didn't have the energy to dedicate 7 hours of time to these movies for what's essentially a Christian allegory. Plus, the love of nostalgia is what's really making it sound even better. The White Witch was always a great villain to me as a kid. I mean, it takes a lot of guts to fight a lion, but give that motherfucker a wand? Too late, I'm already enrolled in Hogwarts. Thankfully, the lion's on our side, and honestly, I just think that Narnia would be perfect for Kingdom Hearts. I mean, using the Keyblade to unlock frozen statues of allies, having a war council meeting with beavers and other little scamps, and the emotional turmoil that could come from Sora and the Pavenzi kids. All jokes aside, imagine being like 10 years old in Europe during World War II, being evacuated from home during a bombing raid, getting isekai'd into some fantastical world, and then immediately getting drafted to fight in some animal wizard war. That's tough! And Sora was similarly young when his life was drastically changed forever, so I just feel like their dynamic could really affect and help each other, giving a narrative purpose as to why this world is in the game, which, if we're being honest, is really lacking in a lot of this franchise. Kingdom Hearts, the mouse, the master, and the Keyblade. Look, transitions are hard, okay?
I swear, if I hadn't promised Mother on her deathbed that I wouldn't kill you, I would kill you!
And believe me, no one appreciates that more than I do.
Shut up!
Tons of people debate A Bug's Life versus Ants. Bug's Life, easy. Will I expand on that? No, because we gotta move on. Imagine being the same size as Flick and exploring land as a bug. It'd be like that area in California Adventure before they abolished it. Imagine the haptic feedback you feel in a new interactive grasshopper chase scene. It'd be like that attraction Showcase before they abolished it. Now, if you don't see the obvious irony in A Bug's Life losing popularity and being forced out the door for newer concepts, you might need to rewatch the film. Now, you might be thinking that I've included this movie due to the strong themes of anti-colonialism, overthrowing oppressive power, or the warning of viewing the world as a unipolar playground arguing against the at the time and kinda current extension of American exceptionalism into foreign affairs. Nope, I just really want to see Tiny Sora running around in what would essentially be a spiritual successor to the very good PS1 game. I mean, you got a strong Revolution-esque story, damn good villain with Hopper, hilarious characters. I truly don't know how many synonyms I can pull out of my ass for this video apart from saying, this movie good, please go there. I don't know if I want Sora and gang to go chibi mode again, or if I actually want to see the monstrosity that would be our trio but as bugs. Either road could work. It was either A Bug's Life or Zootopia, which honestly would be a ton of fun too, especially with that last point, but man, I just don't trust those Rule 34 artists, bruh. I mean, what if they make their own Zootopia pornographic comic? They did what?! Now, I misremembered Sky High as a Disney Channel original movie. Apparently, it released in theaters and even grossed over $60 million upon release, which is just insane in hindsight. I think I might have just thought that, because anytime I saw the movie as a kid, it was when it would air on TV. Get out of here with your Halloween Town, Hatching Pete, Minutemen. Oh, wait, Minutemen would be sick. But to anyone currently in their early 20s who watched Disney as a kid, you probably have a big soft spot for this film. And I can't blame you. Having rewatched it recently, I can proudly say it isn't just nostalgia. This is a damn good movie with very real and relatable characters. Shout out to War and Peace for being just the smartest character in all of cinema. And I don't mean him, I mean his name. War and Peace. War and Peace. It's great. It's great. Making it a perfect contender for a possible Kingdom Hearts world. I mean, I can't imagine there's Kingdom Hearts fans who wouldn't be thrilled to explore the Sky High School, especially with Sora's abilities being improved in every game. Being able to battle waves of heartless enemies but with superpowered friends, especially if they're the sidekick goats, would be a ton of fun and, in my humble opinion, blow Big Hero 6's world out of the water with its possibilities and potential. No disrespect or anything, I just prefer these guys to these guys. And how great would it be if they got Kurt Russell and Kelly Preston and the rest of the cast to reprise their roles? Something I think they would be insanely down to do, considering they signed on to do the now canceled sequel. This world is dark. This world is cruel. But it is also beautiful. Out of all the shows that aired on the Disney Channel, which would you choose to join Kingdom Hearts? I feel like that could be a list on its own, and honestly, I do intend to come back around to that idea in the future, so stay tuned. But out of all the choices, I think I'd have to pick Good gods, gooey green grapes, isn't Gargoyles great? A show I was always familiar with as a kid but never actually got into until recently. You see, Greg Weisman is phenomenal. Genuinely one of my biggest inspirations for writing. I have long been a fan of his work. He co-created my favorite show of all time, Young Justice, plus the best Spider-Man cartoon with Spectacular. He's worked on Rebels, Witch, Max Steel, and just a ton of DC and Disney properties, shows and comics included. Having been a fan of so much of his work, I always knew that he was one of the creators and head writers of Gargoyles, but by the time I knew that, it was long past its syndication, and without having access to DVDs, I just couldn't get my hands on the show. This random fact struck me this past summer when I realized Disney Plus is a thing, and I could likely find it there. And find it I certainly did. I decided to give it a shot but was concerned because I was a massive fan of his later work past the late 2000s. I wasn't sure how good of a product he could have made nearly 15 years earlier. But boy was I wrong for thinking that, because holy shit, Gargoyles is the best thing in the world. No, seriously, you're laughing at me thinking I'm just fronting, but absolutely not. Go back and watch it and see for yourself just how incredible this show is. Disney's first animated drama, and it absolutely shows. I was also thinking that due to its TV Y7 rating that it would be good, but, you know, slightly censored. Nope. There's guns, death, war, human panic, mental anguish, corporate manipulation, and so much more. This is 90s TV Y7, alright? This is not 2010 TV Y7. I'm so serious. There's an episode where one of the dumber characters is playing with a gun and accidentally shoots his friend, and the torture he puts himself through is insane. This is Disney, guys. The 90s were truly something, huh? With how good the show is and how real the world is, I would love to see Kingdom Hearts make its way to New York. I know we've already seen big city worlds in the franchise, and I understand not wanting to do it for that reason, but it would be so bold for them to travel to the past before the Gargoyles were frozen in stone. I think the show was at its most interesting during the flashbacks and how we see humans working with the Gargoyles despite their fear, and how that affects their relationships. While I would love to see that, if we only went to the Middle Ages, we wouldn't get Eliza Mazza, and that's unacceptable, because she is best girl for life. But I can easily see how Sora, especially with the current plot of being alone in Quadratum, could relate to the Gargoyles. People who just want to help but keep getting screwed over by the world, but never letting that fact stop them from doing what they feel is right. I just really want to have Goliath as my main party member, running through, fighting robot gargoyles, and putting an ultimate end to Xanatos, who already sounds like a Kingdom Hearts villain. Like, it's perfect. It's perfect. I literally don't even have to say anymore. I can talk about Hudson. I can talk about the other. We haven't even talked about Demona yet, and I could. You know, I got the time. Do you have the time? I don't think you do. So you know what? We can just keep going. I can just keep going. It's the Muppets. Yeah, I picked the goddamn Muppets as my #1 choice. What are you gonna do about it? The Muppets will always be relevant despite Disney's desperate attempts to make them not. And while I'm here, fuck you, Disney, for canceling Muppet Mayhem. How dare you? How dare, that was the best thing since Muppets ABC, and you just can't. I'm not here to complain about it. Moving on. I mean, memes alone will always keep Kermit alive, but give that fucker a Keyblade and imagine what can be accomplished. As to how they'd be interpreted in the story, first of all, Sora's party, they're all getting Muppetified. No way around it. Turn them into puppets, turn those puppets into pops, and then boom, you got your profit right there. You run into Kermit, Fozzie, and Piggy and the other mains as you have to find their missing friend. I don't know, Robin, why not? After this, you can meet up with Dr. Honeydew and Beaker for upgrades. You're also allowed to torture Beaker for XP. Cookie minigames with Swedish Chef, music minigames with Rolf the Dog, Sweetums is now a summon rampaging through enemies, and that Terrace Muppet too. Random side questing with various Muppet characters. Whatever sounds fun likely is fun when it comes to the Muppets. All culminating with the villain revealed to be Evil Kermit in an organization Dark Cloak. If you tell me you don't want to see Kingdom Hearts mainstays teaming up with Keyblade-wielding Muppets, you hate fun. And imagine hating fun, couldn't be me. And I know musical segments in Kingdom Hearts are frowned upon after, well, you know. But hearing Rainbow Connection with Muppetified Sora and Kairi, I think this would happen.
I know they're wrong, wait and see. Someday we'll find it. The Rainbow Connection. The lovers, the dreamers, and me.
And thus ends the 10 potential worlds I'd love to see in Kingdom Hearts 4. I obviously don't expect to see most of these, and there's an absolute buttload I left out, so if you got any ideas I didn't list, by all means leave them down below. I would love to see what y'all think. I'm just super excited for the year 2042 when we'll likely get the next update on the game. Thanks for watching, and remember, care responsibly.